Hey guys, I'm Johnnie Mikel, and this is my Ask Anything chat with iHeartRadio. Thanks so much to Romeo and Most Requested Live for having me. Now here's to answering your questions. So my first question is from Jillian from St. Louis, Missouri. And she asked, how do you pronounce your full name with the proper hometown accent? So my name is Johnnie Mikel. Contrary to popular belief, it's not Mikel or Mikel. It's Johnnie Mikel, and as you probably know, I'm from Bowling Green, Kentucky. So if you want me to say that with a southern accent, I guess I'll say Johnnie Mikel. I don't know if that's really accurate. I don't know many people that have that accent, but I'll give that to you. So my next question is from Jen from Burbank, California, and she asked me, can you tell me a little bit about your process when writing songs? So my process for writing songs, I always tell people this, it's really different every time. Sometimes when I'm writing, it starts with lyrics. Sometimes it starts with a melody idea or kind of just a theme like an emotional kind of theme that I want to write about. I've also worked with producers in the past where we've just started with a really cool track and kind of a really cool like musical thing that we're working with, and we want to work out a song too. But really it's different every time. I will say my favorite part of writing is definitely the lyrical aspect of it. I feel like that's where I really excel, and it's really always been my favorite part because I normally always come into the studio with something kind of developed lyrically or some kind of idea that I want to work with. So yeah, it's different every time, but that's kind of a little synopsis of it. So my next question is from Penny in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And she asked, if you were on The Masked Singer, what would your costume be and what would you sing? This is a really good question. There's so many ways I could answer it. There's been so many great performances on that show. As far as a song, I would probably have to sing a David Bowie one. One of my favorite David Bowie songs is Boys Keep Swinging. And I would probably dress as like a unicorn or something because I feel like that's very appropriate for David Bowie because he's so colorful and magical and cool. So my next question here is from Haley from Boston, Massachusetts, and she asks, will you be on tour soon? That's definitely something that I'm working on right now. Hopefully I'll get some dates going throughout the summer and the fall. I've got some things that I'm working on to get that on the road. I'm really excited to be back out and playing shows. It's been a couple of years since I've been doing live stuff. And, I'm just thrilled to be able to perform Fallen Angel and the rest of my new album, Purgatory, that just came out. A lot of these songs I've never really performed before. Some of them are songs that I wrote years ago, and I did kind of throw into the set list a couple times. So it's going to be cool to revisit those and also get to perform all of these new songs for everyone. All right, next up is Maya from Houston, Texas. And she asks, if you could collaborate with any artist right now on a song, who would you choose and why? Again, so many ways I could answer this question, Maya, but I think that I would have to go with Kesha. It's a very interesting answer, but I think that she's such a cool artist and really has grown so much like over the years and is able to play with so many different genres, which is something that I like to do as an artist, and I really just admire her work a lot. So I would love to work with Kesha on something. I love her Rainbow album. It's like my favorite album of all time. And I'd also love to work with Nick from Walk the Moon. I think that he's a fantastic artist, and I just love, his style and the message that he puts into everything that he does. So probably either one of those. All right, next up is Tanya from Toronto, and she asks, where is the farthest away you've been from home and gotten recognized? So this is an interesting question. Actually, I've had a lot of people hear my songs lately and send it to me. They've messaged me and been like, hey, I heard your song on the radio, which has been really cool. I've had people just all across the country send me that since Fallen Angel's been getting so much love on the radio lately. And then I've also had a lot of people send me the music video that they've seen on TV. I actually had someone message me and send me a little video of the music video playing in their gym, which I thought was really funny. I really love the fact that everyone's recognizing the songs and kind of seeing it from all over the place. It makes me feel good. All right, the next question is from Jalen. She's in Nashville, Tennessee, And her question is, what made you want to go back to college? This is an interesting question. I always wanted to earn my degree, and really throughout the pandemic, everyone was spending more time at home, and I decided that it was actually going to be sooner than later that I went back to school. So at 23 years old, I started taking some online classes through Western Kentucky University, which is in my hometown. And so I've been studying political science and economics. Both are things that, I'm very interested in outside of music. And interestingly enough, I think that they've both kind of helped with my music career a little bit, because one thing that I really love with political science, learning about all the different issues and stuff going on in the world. And a lot of my music is very message driven, and I love the activism side of being an artist and everything. So it's been cool to kind of connect both of those things together. So that's really why I went back to school. All right, next up is Michelle from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She says, do you have a fandom name that you like? So I'm going to take this that you're talking about my fandom name. I actually do not have one developed yet, so I would really appreciate it if everyone could give me some good ideas. I guess you could say Michaelians, Michaelites, I don't know, something like that. I really have no idea. My name is so interesting that I don't really know what you're going to do with it, but send me some ideas and I will take the best one. All right, next is Katrina from Austin, Texas. She asked, if you were in the Muppet universe, what Muppet would you be? I love this question, and I immediately know that my answer would be Beaker. He's absolutely my favorite Muppet. He's so funny, and I just love everything about him. So that's hands down my answer is Beaker. All right, next up is Stephanie from Savannah, Georgia, and her question is, if you had to have a theme song play whenever you entered a room, what would it be and why? That's a really tough question to answer. Just off the top of my head, I would love maybe a classic like Controversy by Prince. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. And so I think that would be really interesting. I would love to have that song play every time I enter a room or walk on stage or anything like that. That would be fun. Okay, next is Casey from New York City. And she asked, what accessories would a Johnnie action figure come with? Oh, that's a good one. Well, first up would have to be jewelry. I'm almost always wearing bracelets and necklaces and rings and things like that. So I would have to say some good jewelry, all of the fashion, of course. There would have to be lots of things in that starter pack. And of course, some sunglasses and a nice pair of boots. And if you want to throw in something else, I'd probably say like a little Jeep and a dog, because my dog Ruby is almost always with me. So they would have to be in my starter pack if I was an action figure. All right, Manny from Annapolis, Maryland asked me, what is one of your favorite samples that you would want to use in a song? So this is really an interesting question, because I was just listening to some old country music the other day, and I was listening to God's Gonna Cut You Down by Johnny Cash. And, over the years, there's been so many interesting covers of that song by people of every genre and just every generation pretty much. And I think it's really cool how creative people have gotten with that song. But I would love to do something with that and kind of play with it and put my own spin on it, and maybe, play with kind of like maybe like a little sample or something, because I think that that's a really cool, something cool to work with. All right, next up is Perry from Kenosha, Wisconsin, and they asked, do you like Thomas Rhett? This is a very random question, but I do like Thomas Rhett. I like music of all genres. I'm more in the alt pop kind of world, but I take inspiration from all over the place, and I was really a fan of a lot of his earlier stuff when I was younger, like Crash and Burn and Craving You and all of those songs. So yeah, I love Thomas Rhett. I think he's great, and I love following him on Instagram and seeing everything that he and his family's up to. Next up is Janet from St. Louis, Missouri, and her question is, if you were to meet your past self, who do you think would cry more from happiness, current you or past you? That is a very dramatic and thought-provoking question, Janet. I think that I would have to say my past self would probably cry more. I think that I would hope that, I would be proud of how far I've come and how much I've grown just as a person and as an artist. When I was younger, I was much more reserved and much more shy, like especially when I was a kid and stuff. So, music and art and everything has really brought me out of my shell a lot. So I would probably say my past self. All right, Vicky from San Pedro, California asks, can you tell us a little bit about your early years starting out? Did you travel far away for tours? The answer to that is yes, I did travel quite a bit. When I first started out in music, I actually started in Nashville. So I was working with, different songwriters all the time and just kind of, learning how to write songs, learning every instrument that I could get my hands on, and getting comfortable being on stage. Those were years that I'll always cherish and always look back to with fond memories. And then I later started going to Los Angeles, and I spent a lot of time out there. I love the West Coast. I have some of the best memories out there and some of, the best friends and collaborators in LA and California. So those were kind of my early years. And then I also did spend a little bit of time in New York and kind of played shows all over the place, a lot up and down the East Coast for sure. All right, Lindsay from Atlanta, Georgia. What's your favorite swear word or phrase? So I don't know what I can get away with saying on here. So I'm not going to say a swear word, but I will tell you some of my favorite phrases have been from all of the kids on TikTok lately. I really love, purr. I love as you should. I'm eating, all of those kind of things. I love throwing into text messages right now. And now that I've started saying them, I ironically can't stop. So, it's really just all of the Gen Z slang that I can't get enough of. Next up is Tara from Huntington, West Virginia. If you were on a dating site, what quality do you have that you would lead your profile off with? I would probably say that I'm passionate, sometimes to a fault. I really care about everything that I put my heart into, and, I'm a little bit OCD with things, so you just have to know that getting into it. So that's my answer for you, Tara. Next up is Beth Ann from Dalton, Georgia, and her question is, what's the greatest compliment you have ever received? I don't know if I have a specific answer to this, but I do really love when people compliment my work and my songs and have very specific feedback. Like, I love hearing people say, hey, this song really resonated with me. I love these lyrics, or, something about this track really spoke to me, things like that. And of course, being someone that works a lot with activism and different causes, and, I have my own foundation where I've been able to give back a lot. I love people, being kind and supportive about that as well. All right, Colleen from Daytona Beach, Florida. She asks, can you be mushy for a moment and describe what you love most about your career? It kind of ties into the answer that I just gave. I really love being able to make music that connects with people and resonates with people. That's what I love about music. I love what a uniting force it is for just people of all different backgrounds. So I really love being able to do that, spread cool messages out there and just be able to be creative and do what I love. So I love the songwriting aspect of it, but I also love being on stage, which has always been one of my favorite parts. And, I'm really looking forward to getting back out there this year. Okay, Penny from Key West, Florida asked, they've been inducting people into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now for 37 years. Who would you have inducted? One of my favorites actually just recently got inducted, Miss Dolly Parton. I was really excited to see that, and I love the performance that she gave. I was really happy for her, and, just loved the collaboration that she did with all the different artists on the stage. As far as someone else that I would like to be inducted, now that Dolly's been in there, I think Johnnie Mikel is a really cool artist. His Faith music video is absolutely my fashion inspiration for my entire life. So I think that he's someone that would be deserving just with his music and all of the things that he's done throughout his life. All right. Tara from Reading, Pennsylvania asked, what's your favorite drink? I'm going to say iced coffee. I also love getting a protein smoothie whenever I leave the gym. So those two things are some of my favorite things to get throughout my day. Okay, next up, Michelle from Norwalk, Connecticut. If you randomly emptied out your pockets, what do you usually find? I pretty much always have the same things on me. My phone, my wallet, my car keys, sunglasses, and some AirPods, because I love being able to listen to music whenever I'm on the go. All right, Courtney from Memphis, Tennessee. If the answer on Jeopardy was Johnnie Mikel, what would be the question? So I would probably say, who's the biggest Britney Spears fan of all time? That would be the prompt, and I think most people who know me would understand that that would be the answer. All right, Donna from Louisville, Kentucky asked, do you make it back to Bowling Green often? Yes, I'm in Bowling Green quite a bit. Actually, it's been nice to be back home a little bit more since the pandemic. Like I mentioned, I've been taking some classes online, and it's been nice to, after so many years of being on the go, be able to spend more time with my family and friends back home. So, yeah, I love being in Bowling Green whenever I can. Sonia from Tampa, Florida asked, what kind of teenager were you? My answer to that question would be one that was always in the studio, always playing instruments, always writing. Pretty much what I did for so many years. And definitely like those formative years of my life, when I was in what would be most people's college years, I was flying back and forth between Nashville and LA constantly and recording and going out with friends and just having so much fun. So that would probably be like the teenager I was. Roxanne from Phoenix, Arizona. Do you listen to old music, and what decade would you consider to be old? I think old is kind of a relative term depending on who you're asking about music, but I do love music from all eras. I grew up in a very musical household. I've always told people that, I grew up listening to the Beatles, to Aerosmith, to Motown music of all different genres, all different eras. So I really do love music from all of the decades. But I do have a playlist on Spotify that has only music from the 90s and back. So it's literally everything from like the 90s all the way to, the 1950s and everything. So that's my answer. Okay, Alejandro from San Diego, California asked, if you could match your thoughts with reality, what would you do? I would probably play some kind of sold out show. One of my biggest dreams is to play New Year's Eve in Times Square. So I would love to do that at some point, play some kind of show like that, something big and exciting. So that would be what I would want to be reality. Okay, next up is Beth from Yonkers, and this is my last question. Looking back, what fashion trend do you think you should have skipped? Honestly, Beth, I stand by every fashion decision that I've made, even the ones that are kind of questionable a little bit and make me cringe some. I did have a little bit of like a driver hat era when I was younger, and I do regret that a little bit. But, it was iconic for its time. It was definitely an era for me, so I stand by all of it. I have no regrets. Okay, so that's all of my questions. Thank you to Romeo and Most Requested Live for having me on the show. I would love it if you would check out my new single, Fallen Angel, and my album, Purgatory, which just released. It's going to be an exciting year. I've got a lot of cool things coming up, so stay tuned. Thank you so much, and thank you for your questions.